Hey nerds. So, going to continue my series on this book by Bart Ehrman, the theologian, and it's his book that in which he makes the claim supported by a lot of evidence in biblical studies, talking about basically the fact that for at least 100 years after Jesus' death, include all of his disciples and including Jesus himself did not actually consider himself to be divine. So it's a very interesting book. And he just talks briefly about Gnostic Christianity in here. And I think it's interesting. Some people know about it. I used to find it fascinating, but it's just this interesting concept that he goes into in terms of Gnostic Christianity, because it's counterintuitive in terms of what you might think about fundamentalist Christianity, typical fundamentalist Christianity like that of today, like, those people like Jordan Peterson practice, even though he'll never admit that he's Christian, even though he is, because he has this ridiculous worldview that everyone believes in God, but he doesn't. But no one is an atheist, but he's not a Christian, but he believes in God. Anyway, so here's Bart Ehrman's passage on Gnostic Christianity. So there's no need for me to go into a lengthy discussion of early Christian Gnosticism in this context. There are numerous excellent studies. For my purposes here, it is enough to say that a variety of groups after the New Testament period, all of whom claimed, of course, to represent the original views of Jesus and his disciples, every fucking Christian sect throughout history claims to have the only true, correct, original interpretation of their religion, right? Gnostic Christians think they have the true interpretation of the Bible and Christianity. So does every other single sect of Christianity, right? And denomination of Christianity. Anyway, so all of whom claimed, of course, to represent the original views of Jesus and his disciples, maintained that this is the interesting part, that the material world we inhabit is a wicked, fallen place, and that it stands at odds with the greater, purely spiritual realm to which we ultimately belong. So it's interesting. This is like obviously jumping the shark with anti-materialism, right? Because there are plenty of Christians who are materialists, especially nowadays after the Enlightenment, and they believe in like science and material reality in the material world, even if they also believe in the realm of spirit or heaven or something like that. But basically, it sounds like the way that early Gnostic Christians, or at least some Gnostic Christians, saw the world was that the material world is like hell, basically. It's wicked and fallen, or you could say insidious and depraved. And the greater purely spiritual realm is where we truly belong. So I don't know why they're not committing suicide. If that's it's even more, the logic makes even more sense behind that, right? It's not only that even if you believe in the material world, you're killing yourself and being so you can so you can live forever in heaven. There's even more of an incentive here, right? Because you think, I'm in a fake place. I'm in the matrix. I need to die and go into the real spiritual realm. So I don't know why they haven't killed themselves all the time, but maybe they think that they can reach the spiritual realm through their fake material reality. I don't know. It's very interesting. It'd be very interesting to get into more, and a lot of people have in an enormous amounts of detail, I'm sure. So anyway, that's what I think is fascinating about this, that Gnostic Christians apparently believe that the material world is wicked and fallen, and we truly belong in the spiritual realm. So we should so the material realm is fake according to Gnostic Christians, and we should all try to pursue the spiritual realm. So don't kill yourself, but consider this fascinating worldview of Gnostic Christians. Not only like it reminds me of like the complete contrast to there's this early Mormon apostle. Oh yeah, Orson Pratt. I went into one of his books a long time ago because I'm not a Mormon, but some of his theology is actually interesting, even though I totally disagree with it. He had this view that God is a physically material being, and if you're a Christian who believes that God is not a material being or is an immaterial being or even like a transcendental being in the Kantian sense, then you are not only not Christian, you are the Antichrist. So you are evil and anti-Christian. We have on the far end of the spectrum, we have an original Mormon apostle like Orson Pratt, and of course other people disagreed with him, as always happens. But we had an original Mormon apostle, Orson Pratt, saying that the material world is real and even God is material. And if you believe that God is immaterial, then you're the Antichrist, all the way to the other far end of the spectrum of Gnostic Christians, way farther back in history, obviously, saying the material world is fake. You're basically the Antichrist if you believe the material world is even real. God is clearly spiritual and not material at all, and the spiritual realm is where we belong. Like Orson Pratt probably would have agreed that, heaven is a better place to go, but he obviously fully believed in the material world, and that not only that, but that God was material. So you go from believing God is material and you're the Antichrist if you believe God is immaterial, to basically believing that God is immaterial. And if you believe that God is material or anything is material, then you are the Antichrist. And the real material world is a fallen and insidious and depraved place. It's basically hell. So yeah, there are many very interesting and polar opposite interpretations of Christianity, as happens with like every religion, of course, right? And a lot of people like Jordan Peterson would claim that it's just this dumb, oversimplified, fundamentalist, new, traditionalist version of Christianity, which is super dumb in my opinion. There are way more interesting versions of Christianity. But yeah, anyway, so Gnostic Christianity is very interesting because they believe that the material world is fake, insidious, and depraved, and we should all go to the spiritual realm where we all truly belong.